In the small town of Gemona del Friuli in Italy, investigators were called to a crime scene so disturbing that even seasoned detectives struggled to process what they were seeing. And they were even more stunned to learn that it was a nurse that committed the crime. Please bear with me if my voice sounds a little stuffy or croaky. The joys of all the back-to-school germs. Mailyn Castro Monsalvo was originally from Colombia and graduated as a psychologist before progressing to a health manager. It's not quite clear how, but she met Alessandro Venier in 2022 while he was on holiday in Barranquilla, and the two soon started dating. Their relationship moved really fast, and before long, Mailyn left her life in Colombia behind and moved to Italy, settling into Alessandro's family home that he shared with his mum, Lorena, a 61-year-old nurse. At first, everything was going really well. Everything seemed perfect. Lorena welcomed Mailyn warmly, even calling her the daughter I never had. But things soon began to unravel. Alessandro's attitude towards Mailyn completely changed. The charming man she met in Colombia had seemingly disappeared. He was now volatile and abusive towards her. Mailyn also struggled to find work in Italy, and after giving birth to a baby girl in January 2025, she was overwhelmed with postpartum depression, with reports even suggesting she attempted suicide. Alessandro wouldn't help with this matter either. Instead of supporting her, Lorena claims her son downplayed the postnatal depression that Mailyn was suffering from, and when Lorena would address his attitude and behaviour towards Mailyn, on one occasion he lashed out and punched his mum in the back. Unemployed himself and struggling with drugs and alcohol, Alessandro's behaviour only grew more volatile. He reportedly even refused to lift a finger around the house, and his abuse was directed mostly at Mailyn. He started mentioning plans to move away from Italy with Mailyn and their 6-month-old daughter back to Mailyn's home of Colombia. You see, he previously had convictions for violence and possession of weapons, and at around the same time, he was reportedly facing a sentence for bodily harm with potential prison time. So investigators believe Alessandro possibly seen Colombia as his escape. But knowing her son's violent tendencies, Lorena viewed these plans as a disaster waiting to happen and feared for Mailyn's life. Alessandro had allegedly told Mailyn that he would take her to Colombia and drown her in a river because no one would be looking for her there. After months of increasing violence and abuse, this was finally enough for Lorena to follow through with what she had planned for months. On the 25th of July 2025, allegedly the night before Alessandro and Mailyn were due to move to Colombia, Lorena and Mailyn put their plan into action. At around 5:30 p.m, Alessandro was given a glass of lemonade, laced with a whole blister of sleeping pills. But this didn't knock Alessandro out as intended. It only made him groggy. Being a nurse, Lorena obviously had access to various medications, and 5 years prior, she had taken 2 doses of insulin from work, with the intention to use them for suicide. It's speculated she may have been having a rough patch with her son at the time, but she ultimately decided against it and eventually hatched up a different plan with them. She injected her son with both doses of insulin. If untreated, an insulin overdose leads to a coma, irreversible brain damage, and ultimately death. But despite this injection, and much to Lorena's surprise, Alessandro was still alive. Next, the women tried to suffocate him with a pillow, but Alessandro still fought back. So when that failed, they used Alessandro's own bootlaces to strangle him to death. According to Lorena, it wasn't until 11 p.m, nearly 6 hours after the first attempt, that her 35-year-old son finally died. Lorena then dismembered her son and later told investigators, "I took care of the dismemberment myself. I used a hacksaw and a sheet to hold the blood. I dissected him into 3 pieces." Mailyn then shoved the body parts into a barrel and covered them in lime, which was bought from Amazon just days earlier, to help mask the smell. Following this, Lorena just carried on her daily routine, as though nothing had ever happened. She was working shifts and caring for patients, hoping neighbours would assume Alessandro had simply left for Colombia alone. Their plan was for Mailyn and the baby to eventually return to Colombia, and Lorena would later join her after she'd retired. But this hope was shattered when the person she least expected told all to the police. The very same person that helped kill her son. The very person that had allegedly asked Lorena to kill her son for months. Mailyn Castro Monsalvo. Lorena claims that Mailyn had asked her to end his life from the very day that their daughter was born 6 months prior. 6 days after the murder, Mailyn, who was already in a very fragile mental state, could no longer keep their secret hidden. She called police on the 31st of July, stating, "My mother-in-law killed her son," and could then be heard saying, "No, Lorena, no." It's thought that the bruises later found on Mailyn's arms showed that Lorena had maybe tried to snatch the phone from Mailyn while she confessed to their horrific crime. When officers arrived, Alessandro's dismembered body was found in the barrel, with some reports saying it was in the cellar and others stating in the garage. During her first hearing, Lorena admitted, "I have done a terrible thing." She claimed full responsibility, stating Mailyn's only involvement was moving his remains. In court, Lorena explained, Mailyn was being beaten up, insulted and threatened many times with death. Alessandro was violent and Mailyn's life was in danger. I could not have allowed them to go to Colombia. Mailyn and the baby would have run very serious risks there. The only way to stop him was to kill him. She added, "The plan didn't include cutting him up. I did it myself when I realised the body wouldn't fit in the bin where he was supposed to decompose, waiting to scatter the remains in the mountains." Her defence have since requested she undergoes a psychiatric evaluation. You might think, why didn't Lorena and Mailyn just contact police when Alessandro was being violent? But they had already decided against involving police, in fear of retaliation. Mailyn's lawyer has since said, "She is in a state of great difficulty. She's been very confused and is not able to face up to what happened, and that she is too fragile for an interrogation." Mailyn is currently being held at the Institute for Mothers with Reduced Custody, where she's receiving treatment for severe postpartum depression. Her 6-month-old daughter was initially taken into care, but Mailyn has requested that her baby is to be taken care of by her parents back in Colombia. Today, Lorena is facing charges of murder and concealing a body, while Mailyn, who was 30 at the time, is being investigated for the instigation to murder, both of which carry a potential life sentence in Italy. But what sentence do you believe they should both receive? Do you believe all of Lorena's claims, or do you think there might be more to the story? As always, as this is such a recent case and is very much still unfolding, be sure to follow me over on Instagram, where I'll post updates on the case in story highlights, and keep an eye out for pinned comments down below. Please remember to subscribe for many more videos just like this one, and also like the video please, it really helps me out. Thanks!